I got all this steel here off of the drop cut section at the local steel supply at Gulfstream, and this is just, instead of buying a sheet of half-inch material, just got this damn angle iron here, and make some cuts, and then the rest of it I'll save it or chuck it, right? And to marking all this, I've been using these are the Sharpie paint pens. They're pretty good. Now the sucky part. Cut everything. Alright guys, let me tell you about being thrifty here in the garage, alright? It's really important for me to be thrifty wherever I can, whenever I can be thrifty, because stuff adds up, right? It's not cheap, right? You got flap discs costing almost damn $10, some of them, right? And so on and so forth. But like for example, the cutoff disc. I've been cutting that little piece of angle there. There was a cutoff wheel on the grinder right now. It was, I don't know, it was already used, but I can use it to this big. Originally they're about that big, and then now it's that tiny. If the grinder itself is not touching the material, you still got life in this sucker, And even if you can't punch through still, you can use something like this to score it, right? To score the material. Save some, I don't know, inches, thousands off of this new one where you can waste this one. And, well anyways, I'd like to take a second to tell you that stuff, because I see people throwing this shit away like, it grows on trees, and you'll get stabbed in the garage if you do some shit like that. Alright, let's get back to grinding.
Alright, every time I cut something, if I have the opportunity to clamp it on the vise or clamp it somewhere where the sparks are aimed down to the ground, I do so. It's a lot safer, where the sparks are going, and versus before when I first got into welding and metalworking, I kind of just clamped it down to the table, and wherever the sparks flew, they flew. Even if it meant that the sparks would go straight to my gut, right? Destroying a couple of my welding jackets. Well, this is what I do now, and it saves a lot of welding jackets.
Alright, so originally what I wanted to do was I had already cut this one out, and the grinder was obviously not able to cut all the way into the corners here. Right? Bam, bam, bam. So I was going to drill it with a pilot with the small bit here, and then just drill a bigger, use a step bit to remove that corner there so the cutoff disc can reach. But I got a better idea, and using the Sawzall to finish that little bit of a cut there, and it works. Cool, that saves some time too, because I freaking hate drilling. Seriously, I hate drilling.
Buffing out the sharp edges takes some time, but it gives it a little bit cleaner look at the end result.
I laid this out before I cut these out. I literally just punch it, and then you were done. Oh, god damn.
And these are the times that I wish I had a drill press. But hey, let's keep going.
Look at those beautiful chips. Heck yeah. I mean, don't worry about the broken bit here. Look at this baby. God damn.
Other than snapping that first drill bit, it went pretty smooth, keeping the bit cool here and there, adding some cutting fluid. I got that one from Lowe's. It's probably like $5-6, but it saves some drill bits. Alright, now we get to the fun part. There really isn't much for fitting and welding these out. All we have to do is make sure that the center of those big brackets remains, I think it's 2 inches or something like that. And then weld it all out with the Shield Flux Core 045 made by Blue Demon Weld Products. Alright, next we move to the uprights that are going to be holding the I-beam. and I'm welding on these 3/8 plates, so we have a spot to weld the I-beam to, along with some gussets that are there for reinforcement, a little bit more strength. And I know I'm moving a little fast here, but I do want to point out the mag switch ground that I bought. It's a 300 amp ground. It's so convenient that I'm able to, put the switch on that magnet in areas where you don't have something flat to clamp onto, and it just makes my life a lot easier. Alright, next up are these tabs. I'm using the Mag Square here, another product from Mag Switch, to help me square everything up, kind of using it as a third hand, but all I have to do here is keep enough distance, enough for me to slide in the top of the ram through it. Alright, at this point, the uprights are ready for the I-beam. What I did is I clamped one side down to the table and the other side to the yellow jack stand there. It didn't take much to square things up. After I made sure that it was nice and square, I tacked both sides up and I went to go ahead and weld it all up. Now, as you guys can see, I did a little bit of overhead welding, and I don't do much out of position welding here in the garage, but when I do, I take advantage of that, and I go ahead and do so, because the more you practice, the more proficient you get at it, right? And here's one of my chances here. I decided to go with some 6x2 locking swivel casters rated at 1,200 pounds each. I got them for about $59 through Amazon, and here I'm just bolting them down using some 3/8 grade 8 bolts.
We can cruise the world with pearls, gator boots and
I decided to bring out the big guns and call out my wife to help me get the gantry on its wheels, because this sucker is heavy.
Alright, so I waited to put this on to the very last, that little bracket there, so I can see the actual height of it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mark it right here, right where it's at, the ram fully collapsed, and then see all the weight. You can see how the tubing is a little dented about right here, because all the weight of the I-beam and the trolley and all that crap in the down position is going to be, it's currently sitting on this part of the square tubing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to raise this mark up, let's say ½ inch.
I'm really digging this Blue Demon dual shield flux core using straight CO2 to weld all this up. I needed to raise the I-beam up in order for me to slide in the ram on the outside, so I tacked up this little shelf and I used a bottle jack and raised it up that much more to give me that clearance, and it worked like a charm. I did it on both sides, and it was just enough to give me that clearance, slide in the bolts and then torque everything down.
Sleep to the next level. Literally, during our sleep giving sale for the first time ever, when you get any new mattress at just $500, you'll get an adjustable base for free. November 15th to the 27th only. And Black Friday through Sunday, get a voice actor.
Here is another one of my Amazon purchases. It is the Jet 2-ton manual push trolley. It is $135. It was pretty easy to assemble. As soon as I set the distance from the flange to the rollers there, I slid in the washers, put the castle nut on there and the cotter pin, and then I hooked on the chain fall.
Well, there you guys have it. What I wanted to show you guys was so we're on the driveway right now, right, and it slopes down some, and I have the level here, and see if I can see it. It's pretty level, and that's because this side here is a little bit shorter than this side, and that's one thing I like about having the gantry with the jacks on both sides, is that you can level it out. So whether I'm inside here and I need to level it out for whatever reason, or inside the garage, I can. And the distance from, so this is what's stopping me to go up even higher, right? The ram says, there you go, somewhere there. There's a mark on the ram, on the piston here, and there it is, the red mark. You can't go any higher, so I'm going to mark it here. But from the bottom of the I-beam to the ground is about 95 inches. Alright guys, well, thank you for following my build. I promise I'm going to upload more videos of my welding projects and or my Jeep projects here coming up. I will be trying to pick up the passenger side tire on my Jeep to so I can trim the back a little bit, but that's gonna be fun. For now, the crane project is done. I'm gonna have it painted. I'm not going to videotape it because I mean, no one really wants to see that, right? All the fun stuff is done. The painting can be left for some other time. But alright guys, if you like this video, like, share, comment, subscribe.